HOA said my pool was too flashy, so I built a rooftop infinity pool with LED fountains. Have you ever experienced the infuriating indignation of someone dictating your personal style, especially when it comes to your own home? The summer heat in Oasis Heights was brutal, and my new home, a sleek, modern marvel I'd poured my heart and soul and most of my savings into, was my personal sanctuary. The crowning jewel was supposed to be the pool I'd just finished installing in my backyard. It was a beautiful, minimalist design, just large enough for laps, with subtle, warm LED lighting for evening swims. It wasn't flashy, it was refined, or so I thought. Then came Karen. Not just any Karen, but Karen Sterling, the formidable and self-appointed arbiter of taste for the Oasis Heights Homeowners Association. I was still admiring the way the setting sun glinted off the water when my doorbell chimed. Standing there, clipboard in hand, a perfectly tailored suit buttoned to her throat despite the oppressive heat, was Karen. She barely offered a greeting, her eyes scanning my backyard with a look that could curdle milk. "Mr. Hayes," she began, her voice dripping with an almost surgical precision. "We have received, shall we say, concerns regarding your recent pool installation. Specifically, its ostentatious nature." She gestured vaguely towards my modest, elegant pool. The HOA guidelines clearly state that additions must adhere to the harmonious aesthetic of the community. This, I'm afraid, is a flagrant violation. It's too visible, too modern. And those lights, positively blinding at night. We're going to need you to modify it to fit our standards or remove it entirely. The main conflict hit me like a splash of cold water. Karen, armed with vague HOA jargon and an iron will, was declaring war on my quiet enjoyment of my own property, all based on her subjective, elitist notion of aesthetic harmony. Her attitude was instantly condescending, implying that my taste was inherently inferior and that my home was a blight on her pristine vision of Oasis Heights. Her demand was not just unreasonable, it was an outright assault on my creative expression and personal freedom within my own walls. I tried to explain. "Miss Sterling, this pool is a standard size, the lighting is subtle and meets all safety codes. It's hardly ostentatious. It's a contemporary design, yes, but it blends seamlessly with the architecture of my home." I even offered to demonstrate the dimmer settings for the lights, trying to find a compromise. Karen, however, merely sniffed, adjusting her designer glasses. "Mr. Hayes, blending seamlessly in Oasis Heights means conforming to our established standards, not yours. Your contemporary is our garish. And those lights, subtle as you claim, are a direct affront to the tranquil ambience we cultivate. You have 2 weeks to submit a revised plan for approval, or face fines." She turned on her heel, her departure as abrupt as her arrival, leaving me simmering in disbelief. Her dismissiveness fueled a slow burn of indignation within me. I spent the next few days brainstorming, trying to find a solution that satisfied both my desire for modern design and the HOA's draconian rules. Then, she escalated. A week later, I received a certified letter from the HOA outlining new, hyper-specific clarifications to the aesthetic guidelines, seemingly custom designed to target my pool. It stipulated natural stone finishes only, no visible LED fixtures, and no reflective surfaces exceeding 10 square feet. It was a direct, punitive measure, but the real act of malice came shortly after. While I was at work, she sent a landscaping crew to my property, ostensibly to trim overgrown hedges. In reality, they deliberately cut the main power line to my pool pump and drainage system, causing the water level to rise precariously close to overflowing and the sophisticated filtration system to fail. "Just a little accidental trimming," her assistant chirped when I called, clearly following Karen's orders. This was no longer just an aesthetic dispute. It was an act of direct, petty sabotage designed to force my hand and cause damage. Right after discovering the severed power line, a small, unexpected twist emerged. My neighbor, Mrs. Henderson, a sweet, elderly woman who usually kept to herself, happened to be on her daily walk. She was holding her new, slightly shaky smartphone, having just started using it for video calls with her grandkids. She approached me, her face etched with concern. "Oh, Daniel, I saw those men trimming your hedges. It looked very aggressive." I actually had my phone recording a video for my granddaughter, showing her how beautiful your garden was, and I think I caught them doing something odd with your wires. Her video, though shaky, clearly showed one of the trimmers deliberately severing the power line with wire cutters, then looking directly into Mrs. Henderson's phone with a sly grin, as if he knew he was being recorded but didn't care. The larger consequence of Karen's actions began to unfold. My home wasn't just a personal residence. It was a key part of an upcoming Modern Living Showcase, a charitable event I was co-hosting with a local architectural firm to raise funds for a youth arts program in the city. My pool, far from being garish, was meant to demonstrate sustainable, contemporary design principles. Karen's interference, the power cut, and the new, restrictive guidelines she arbitrarily enforced threatened to derail the entire event, which would directly impact the funding for hundreds of underprivileged kids. Her petty vendetta was now jeopardizing a public good, amplifying my outrage. Armed with Mrs. Henderson's video, I marched into the next HOA board meeting, where Karen was holding court, confidently outlining her new aesthetic enforcement initiatives. She saw me enter, a smirk playing on her lips. "Mr. Hayes, perhaps you've come to announce your compliance?" "No, Karen," I retorted, my voice steady. "I've come to announce your non-compliance with the law." I held up Mrs. Henderson's tablet, playing the damning video. The room went silent as the deliberate act of sabotage unfolded before everyone's eyes. Karen's face, initially contorted in disbelief, quickly shifted to denial. "That's doctored. A fake. He's trying to discredit me," she shrieked, her usual composure cracking. "He's a menace. He's trying to destroy the integrity of this community." She was a master manipulator, trying to turn the tables, but the visual evidence was undeniable. Just as her voice reached a fever pitch, the doors to the meeting room swung open. In walked not just Sheriff Reynolds, but also a representative from the County Building and Safety Department, and surprisingly, a high-profile investigative journalist from the Oasis Heights Gazette, a paper known for exposing local corruption. The journalist immediately began snapping photos. "Ms. Sterling," Sheriff Reynolds announced, his voice calm but firm, "we have received a complaint regarding criminal damage to property and have compelling video evidence. We also have reports of arbitrary rule enforcement and potential abuse of power within the HOA." The County Building and Safety representative stepped forward. "And Ms. Sterling, we're here to investigate a pattern of unpermitted structural modifications and code violations in several homes under your direct influence modifications that deviate from approved plans and put homeowners at risk, all to enhance the aesthetic." It was revealed that Karen had been pressuring builders to cut corners and make unapproved structural changes, simply to fit her vision, sometimes compromising safety for aesthetics. Karen's face drained of all color. The haughty self-assurance vanished, replaced by sheer, unadulterated terror. Her hands trembled as she clutched the edge of the table. This is an outrage. I'm being targeted. This is defamation," she stammered, her voice thin and reedy, a stark contrast to her usual booming authority. A whispered detail then emerged from a junior HOA board member, who, emboldened by the presence of the authorities, quietly mentioned that Karen's obsessive need for control stemmed from a past incident where her own custom-built home was featured in a magazine and then heavily criticized online for being architecturally inconsistent. This didn't excuse her, but it painted a picture of a deeper insecurity driving her controlling behavior. The repercussions for Karen Sterling were immediate and devastating. She was immediately stripped of all her HOA duties and positions, pending a full investigation. The sheriff's department launched a criminal inquiry into the property damage, while the county building and safety department issued stop work orders and fines on several of her pet projects, and began reevaluating permits for every single home where she had personally overseen modifications. The Oasis Heights Gazette published a scathing front-page exposé detailing her abuses of power, her arbitrary rule enforcement, and the revelations from the meeting. The Oasis Heights harmonious aesthetic became a local joke, synonymous with corruption and overreach. Her carefully constructed network of alliances within the community crumbled. The homeowners she had once intimidated now banded together, filing a class action lawsuit against her for emotional distress and devaluation of property due to her manipulative actions. The elite social circle she had cultivated quickly distanced themselves, unwilling to be associated with such public disgrace. Her image, her status, her perceived power all disintegrated. She lost her prestigious position on the city's beautification committee, a role she cherished. The irony wasn't lost on anyone. The woman who obsessed over aesthetics was now a public pariah, her reputation irrevocably stained. As for my pool, I not only fixed the power line but, with the support of a newly elected, much more reasonable HOA board, installed after Karen's spectacular downfall, I decided to make a statement. I didn't just rebuild the modest pool. I secured the necessary permits and, leveraging my architectural connections, designed and built a breathtaking rooftop infinity pool with cascading LED fountains and a transparent glass bottom that offered a stunning view of the night sky. A true marvel of modern engineering and design that was simultaneously elegant and undeniably flashy. It became the centerpiece of the Modern Living Showcase, raising more money for the youth arts program than we ever imagined. The sweet taste of victory was undeniable, a feeling of defiant triumph. But beneath it, there was a sober realization. The cost of standing up to such baseless tyranny can be high, yet the freedom gained is priceless. What's your take on this? When does upholding community standards cross the line into controlling personal expression, and what should be the consequences for those who abuse their power?